Hi, I'm Kevin, the Tech Guy. In this video and blog post, I'm going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions regarding Windows 10 and the end of life, the support that's ending from Microsoft in October of this year, 2025. Here's what regular users need to know. Will my computer stop working after Windows 10 support ends in October? No, your computer will still work. You'll continue to get security updates for Windows Defender, the antivirus built into Windows 10 and even 11, but you won't receive feature updates or ongoing bug fixes unless you take additional steps, which I'll get to in a bit. So in terms of Patch Tuesday, that's not happening anymore for Windows 10 beyond October. The only updates you'll be getting from Microsoft are for Windows Defender, the antivirus. That's it. What are my options for staying secure after support ends? You can subscribe at that time to Microsoft's Extended Security Updates program, the ESU program, or use a third-party tool that, as I do already, it's a kind of above and beyond Windows Update, so both work in kind of combination on my computer, but it's an option certainly beyond October. Both options will continue providing security updates until October. Beyond that, we're going to have to rely on companies like Zero Patch to provide those security updates and those bug fixes. That being said, these approaches eliminate the risk of running an unpatched system. Will my apps continue to work after support ends for Windows 10? Yes. Most third-party apps like browsers, office tools, media players, etc. will continue to support Windows 10 for at least a few more years. Developers know very well that millions of users still use and will continue to use Windows 10, so that they're not pulling support anytime soon. Should I create a Windows 10 USB installer? Yes, you should download the ISO file, the official one from Microsoft. That's the only place you should download it from, and create a bootable USB installer using Microsoft's Media Creation tool. Use at least an 8 gigabyte or larger flash drive. That way, you can reinstall Windows later, even if Microsoft takes down the download links. I will mention here that as long as you have the downloaded ISO file on your computer, on a backup drive, whatever, you can put it onto a USB stick at any time in the future. If something happens to the USB stick that you are creating now, following this blog post and video, that's fine, but if something ever happens to it, as long as you have the ISO file somewhere, Microsoft's Media Creation tool will continue to work to allow you to create another one. What's the difference between a recovery disk and a bootable USB made with the Media Creation tool? Great question. A recovery disk is created by your computer manufacturer specifically, not from Microsoft. They take the copy of Windows from Microsoft, the licensed copy from Microsoft, and they add their own stuff to it. However, recovery disk doesn't include things for like repairing Windows and stuff like that. It's solely to reinstall Windows, so to erase the drive and reinstall Windows, but that's going to be bundled with anything that's from Asus or Dell or any of these companies, right? That bundle stuff with Windows. So it'll be in an out-of-box state. It'll be in the exact same state no matter how many years ago you bought your computer. So it's going to have that extra stuff already pre-installed. That's what a recovery disk is. It's not meant to repair Windows. It's meant to restore your system to its original factory condition. It includes all the pre-installed apps, drivers, and often bloatware that came with your computer. It does not let you troubleshoot or back up your files. It just wipes everything and resets the machine. A bootable USB made with the Media Creation tool is different. It lets you do a clean install of Windows 10 without the manufacturer's software, all that pre-installed stuff. You can use it to access recovery tools, troubleshoot issues, or reinstall Windows while keeping your personal files. It's a more flexible and usable option. Can I use the installer on multiple computers? Yes. One Windows 10 installer can be used on as many PCs as you want. It's just a matter of having that product key or getting the digital license, which is often free because Microsoft doesn't really care about Windows 10 anymore, and then not even selling it. You don't need to make a separate USB stick for each computer that you want to install it on. And case in point, for many years, I carried around either a DVD, yes, I go back that far, uh, or a USB stick. And I just one. And had it on me, it was in my pocket, it was in my bag, whatever, and I could use that to reinstall Windows on a client's computer with their product key or get the digital license, as I said. So you only need one. What happens to my license if I reinstall Windows later? Great question. Your digital license is linked to your Microsoft account. When you reinstall Windows 10, just sign in with the Microsoft account during that install process. Windows will automatically activate because Microsoft cares more about the fact that you have a Microsoft account than they do about Windows, selling you Windows, right? Even Windows 10 was a free upgrade from Windows 7 at the time. Once setup is complete, you can switch to a local user account if you prefer not to keep using a Microsoft account. What is Zero Patch and is it safe to use? Zero Patch, it's a silly name. I'm just going to say it. But it's a third-party tool that delivers security updates for Windows 10 and 11 and many other products. And it'll be particularly useful for Windows 10 after Microsoft ends official support, in October. Zero Patch is well regarded. They've been around for years, patching vulnerabilities quickly and even covering many third-party software solutions. Zero Patch basically reverse engineers Windows and other software and looks for vulnerabilities, looks for bugs, and then carefully puts together patches to take care of those bugs. So it might work a little different than Windows Update does, but Zero Patch actually works better when you take a look at the website and read different things, kind of do your research, which I'd recommend. Um, but in the way that people have talked about it on podcasts and articles that I've read, trusted sources, journalists, and so forth, they know many organizations in particular, which is how Zero Patch got started, where Microsoft isn't patching certain things, certain vulnerabilities. They don't consider it a priority in some cases, is the truth. And Zero Patch takes care of that. As I said, they even cover some third-party software in the same regard. Should I upgrade to Windows 11? Honestly, I don't recommend it. Windows 11 still has compatibility issues, forced design changes, and too much built-in advertising, tracking, and telemetry. If you're buying a new computer, it will likely come with Windows 11 pre-installed. I recommend replacing it with Windows 10 while you still can. You'll get a free digital license and a more stable experience. Again, install it and sign in with a Microsoft account, create a Microsoft account, sign in with it, switch to a local account later. If you want to, you'll get a free digital license out of it. Should I switch to Linux instead? No, not in my opinion. Linux Mint and similar operating systems are excellent, and I sincerely mean that when I say it. But switching to Linux should never be a decision made on impulse. A lot of people pushing Linux to regular users right now, as far as I can tell, are chasing ad clicks and video views. They're trying to make a quick buck. Some of them, I'm not saying all of them, but many of the ones I have seen, that's what they're doing. Don't pay attention to that. If Linux genuinely interests you, take your time, do your research, learn what you can about it, in particular to Linux. Mint is about the closest I've seen to kind of a Windows-like experience. Don't just install it and hope for the best. At this point, I cannot recommend Linux or Windows 11 in good conscience or in good faith. To give the benefit of the doubt to some of those who have recommended options like Windows 11 or even Linux Mint to people, I think part of their intention is simply to get people used to the idea of eventually switching to them when the time is right. Linux Mint is making progress. I used it exclusively on my main computer for 2 months to get a real good feel for it. But if I was going to recommend an alternative operating system at all to Windows 10, it would be Mac. And to be clear, I'm loyal to none of these options. For me, it's always come down to what is the best tool for the job. And I'll say this as I said in my blog post regarding Linux Mint. I thought about putting Linux Mint on my mom's computer. She was considering getting a laptop for her travels at the time. She does have a bunch of house sitting. And I took a serious look at Linux Mint, and a few laptops that were out there, and comparing price and quality and whatnot. And what I ended up deciding is that the best choice would be a MacBook Pro. So a little more expensive than a Windows computer. I'll grant you that in many cases anyway. For regular people, for my mom, as I say, it was a pretty easy learning curve, and she's barely had any issues to speak of. A few minor things have popped up that I've been able to solve mostly remotely. So I'd recommend Mac over Linux. What version of Windows 10 should I download right now? This is a good question. I like it. I mean, when people are thinking this, it means they're being critical. They don't want to download it from some, unreputable website, and they want to make sure that they have the latest version, so it's not outdated. The latest version of Windows 10 that Microsoft offers is 22H2. That means, to decipher that for a second, that means that version of Windows came out in the second half of 2022. That's how they do that. That doesn't mean that Windows 10 has stopped receiving updates. It just means that Microsoft hasn't added a newer version of the download of the operating system, the ISO, that includes all of the updates released since then. So after you install Windows 10, you'll need to run Windows Update and let it catch up for a while. This may take some time, but that's completely normal, and you should be able to do other things depending on the age of your computer and its performance. Check your email and do whatever you need to do. Performance might be affected a little bit, and then Windows will tell you, okay, time to restart, and that's going to happen a few times. You don't have to do all the updates right away, but I would, for the sake of security and those bugs, and those flaws that are being patched with those updates should be taken care of as quickly as possible. But again, that's the trade-off. So I figure I should add this update, and it's regarding a new announcement, a recent announcement. We're in July now, and I recorded the last parts of this video in June. Microsoft recently announced that regular Windows 10 users, home users, will be able to receive free security updates beyond the official end of support date in October 2025. This is a big shift from their original plan to charge everyone for extended updates. Individual users can now qualify for an additional year of critical security patches at no cost to them through one of three methods. Turn on Windows Backup and have it sync your settings to your cloud account, your Microsoft account. If you're signed in with a Microsoft account using Windows 10 and use Windows Backup to sync your settings and selected folders to OneDrive, which you might have to pay for in terms of storage depending on how much storage space you're taking up. But by doing that, you'll be eligible for free security updates. If you've been using Microsoft Rewards through Bing searches and purchases and however else you get Microsoft Rewards, you can redeem them, or 1,000 of them, to get a year of updates at no cost. Now you might be wondering, what the hell are Microsoft points? And different podcasts I've been listening to echoed that, and these are people in the industry. The third option is to pay $30 US for the year for each computer that you want to continue to receive security updates. All three of these paths offer the same updates. These options will become available through a new wizard built into Windows Update, rolling out in waves starting in July this month, and available to everyone by mid-August. Keep in mind that these offers are only available to personal users, to home users. Businesses and organizations still have to pay full price for the extended updates, for the extended coverage. That said, this feels wrong to me, and I'm far from the only one saying that. Microsoft is making people jump through hoops through updates that they're clearly making anyway, and these updates patch flaws and bugs in Microsoft's own software. So I don't see how they have any right, frankly, at least morally, to be charging people for these. Either make them and release them for free, or don't make them at all. Don't tie it to cloud syncing or reward points. Just make the updates available. No conditions for the next year. Still, apparently this is the way we're going to be doing this. So if you're planning on staying on Windows 10, which I certainly am, I recommend downloading the ISO file, the operating system file that you'll need to install Windows 10. and creating a bootable USB installer using the media creation tool, which I link to in the blog post and in the description, and keeping your backups in order and up to date. These free options will help you stay secure through at least 2026, October, without being forced to upgrade to Windows 11 before you're ready, if you're ready to do it ever. These free options will help your computer that has Windows 10 stay secure through October 2026 without being forced to upgrade to Windows 11 before you're ready, or whatever the next thing that comes up, Windows 12, who knows what, when you're ready to do that. So that's my take on these hoops that Microsoft is apparently now offering for home users to stick to Windows 10. And it's clear to me, at least, that they're doing this out of spite. If you have any questions, please leave a comment as a paid subscriber on the blog post. I'll address more common questions in the future. Thank you for watching, reading, and for stopping by.